Well, the story, it has been that kind of a day for the Denver Broncos as they have literally ripped San Diego's defense up. And here was the biggest play of the half, John Brody.
And primarily the reason this is the combination that's put them out in front. Morton to Steve Watson. Steve has had 2 games that are just as sensational as you'll ever see. He's got good speed, 6'3". The thing that impressed me is how much in control of himself he was going inside the 15-yard line. As a result, it's only 28-0. They're having nothing but fun.
That one went for 93 yards. NFL 81 halftime activities will continue in a moment after these messages from your local station.
Following an impressive first half by the Denver Broncos, I'd like to welcome you back to our NFL 81 studios in New York. I'm Brian Gumbel. We're working our way through Sunday number 4 of this NFL season, trying to get you caught up on just what has happened around the league, because there has been a great deal of excitement, including 2 overtime games in the AFC. Let's first turn our attention to the ball game played at Shea Stadium today, where the Jets finally got in the win column. They did it by turning back the Houston Oilers 33-17. The Jets are now 1-3. The Oilers are a 500 ball club after 4 weeks. Today was a big day for Richard Todd. He threw a touchdown pass and then watched from the sidelines as Earl Campbell's 3-yard plunge tied the ball game at 7. That's when Todd enjoyed a big second period. He scrambled out of the pocket here, looked and found Wesley Walker, California Flash, 29-yard scoring strike, 14-7. Then a flea flicker, give to Augustiniak, back to Todd. He looks, finds Wesley Walker, 40 yards, 21-7. It was 21-10 at the half. In the third period, Kenny Stabler couldn't find the handle on this one. Stick a fork in it, somebody. Jets recover in the end zone, makes it 23-10. Then the Oilers come back. They say Stabler can't go deep. He doesn't have to. Kenny Burrow can. Finds some blocking, finds a lane down the sidelines. Nobody catches double aught. He goes all the way, 70 yards, 23-17. Looked like the Jets might fold, but instead they not only hung on, they came back and pushed Kevin Long over from the 2-yard line. The Jets made themselves a winner, 33-17. Took some of the heat off their beleaguered coach, Walt Michaels. Buffalo against Cincinnati. This is one that ended in overtime. The Bengals upset the Bills 27-24. The Bengals moved to 3-1. The Bills suffer their second straight loss of this 4-week season. Chuck Knox's club had 10 days to prepare for the Bengals, but it was Cincinnati that looked like the fresh club, jumping on the board first. Kenny Anderson looking into the end zone, finding from 13 yards out his rookie, Chris Collinsworth. Good diving catch by the rookie out of Florida, 7-0. Then Ferguson came back, tied the ball game with his 8th touchdown pass of the year, 9-yarder to Frank Lewis. Before the half ended, he upped it to 14-7 by hitting Mark Bramer from 4 yards out. It was 14-10 at the intermission. That's when Ferguson came back and kept his magic up. This was his 10th scoring pass to Lewis. It made it 21-10. The Bengals came back strong. They had it 21-17 and then took the lead on this touchdown pass to Steve Kreider. One official said he was out. He was overruled by another official. Then Nick Mickemeyer sent the game in overtime from 40 yards out with a field goal and 7 seconds left. It was left to Jim Breach to hit a 27-yarder with a little more than 5 minutes left to send the Bengals to victory, 27-24. Another overtime ball game played at Three Rivers Stadium. The Pittsburgh Steelers turned back the New England Patriots by a score of 27-21. The Pats are now 0-4. Big day for Franco Harris and company. Harris had 2 touchdowns, 63 yards on the ground. Bradshaw had 247 yards in the air, including 2 touchdowns. Here, the Patriots came back. That score by Kavanaugh made it 14-7 at the half. But then Franco, following blocking around the left side, made it 21-7. That's when the Patriots came back strong. Tony Collins from 11 yards. This made it 21-14. Then with 24 seconds left, Kavanaugh to Stanley Morgan tied the ball game, sent it into OT. Then a familiar combination ended it 3:19 in overtime. Bradshaw to Swan. They've done that before, haven't they? 24-yard combination made it 27-21. The Atlanta Falcons have tasted defeat for the first time this year. They got it in Ohio at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. Browns a winner over the Falcons. Final score 28-17. Big afternoon for Brian Sipe. 21 of 34, 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. He spotted Steve Bartkowski and the Falcons a 10-0 lead, and then Sipe working through the air gives to Mike.
This 1981 National Football League game is brought to you by Schlitz, the Master Brewer's Brew. Just one taste and you'll know behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer. By Champion Spark Plug Company, Champion, world's #1 seller. By the new Chrysler Corporation. For 1982, Chrysler has the cars, the quality, and the prices America needs. And by IBM, Office Products Division. We'll be back after these messages. Schlittz has his work cut out for him. As you see the halftime numbers, Denver leading San Diego 28-0. This is Don Criqui with John Brody back at Mile High Stadium. Quarterbacks wait for that perfect day, John. Might have taken Craig more than 17 years, but I think he found it.
Well, Craig Morton is having about as good a day as anybody could possibly have. On the other side of the coin, Dan Fouts has had his 2 prime receivers taken away from him, and no one else has picked up the slack. It's going to really be a long day if Dan doesn't get something in the first drive.
You brought out an interesting point as we look at those first half numbers, that Denver is so good at taking away the strength of the other team. They've really done that. Like Joyner, the top receiver for San Diego Chargers, caught 1 ball for 4 yards.
And what they do it week in and week out, because when talking to the San Diego people, they said you can never tell what Denver's going to do from week to week because they play the other team's strengths so well.
Here's James Brooks on the kickoff return coming up the field across the 20, and a penalty marker goes down. So the Chargers infuriated, throwing their hands in the air as they see another marker. Another roadblock is thrown against them. This has been their worst day of the season. They opened with the perfect football performance against Cleveland. Today it has been Denver's turn.
I think it's their worst day in several seasons, because if you just take
illegal block above the waist from the rear, number 54 receiving team. First down.
Take a look back down to the end of the '78 season when Fouts really started to come on. Since that time, you know, he's thrown for more yards than anybody in the history of the game ever threw, and this is the worst day he's had.
And he starts out in the hole with the penalty, back inside his 10. Swing pass out to James Brooks. Great play by a great player. Randy Gradishar catches the little sprint back from Auburn.
Boy, you don't know how hard it is for a middle linebacker to be one-on-one with a man in a halfback position. He throws a little dump pass. That is totally Randy and Brooks, and very few times will you find a linebacker come out first in a battle of that type. But he just keeps doing it.
This is the 43rd meeting between the Chargers and the Broncos, dating back to that American Football League's first season, 1960. Give goes to Brooks, ran into one of his own guys, and he is slapped down hard at the 7-yard line. Lost yardage on the previous play, might have gotten back the 2 he lost. On the 2nd and 10 play, Brooks gets ahead for only a yard. It's going to be 3rd down and 11 for San Diego.
Yeah, we do run into our own people, Dan, when we expect somebody to make some movement, and there is none. That time, Reuben Carter just stood up the whole front of the line.
Chuck Muncie might have fractured a finger in the first half. X-rays taken at halftime. James Brooks is in there with John Cappelletti. Charlie Joyner wide left has only caught 1 for 4 yards. Fouts is looking at him. There's the throw to Joyner. He took a look at Foley. The free safety sweeping on in. It's an incomplete pass, and now the Chargers have to punt the ball from their end zone.
That's something you don't see Charlie Joyner ever getting caught doing. He just took a glance at Foley, and Foley is he will plant his head underneath your shoulder pads.
He's about due to plant now because he got planted a little earlier, remember, by Kellen Winslow. Foley had a great first half, intercepted the ball twice. George Roberts, a former Miami Dolphin, in the end zone, ready to punt the ball for San Diego. Low snap.
Shake.
Yep. Out of bounds, and the Broncos are going to come up with the ball inside the San Diego 30, right at it. Believe all this here in Denver.
Well, they better get started, because they're going to see a lot more of it.
It was only 21 yards.
When it's going bad, it is going bad. Made a pretty good play just to get his hands on the ball and get the ball out of the end zone. He kicked in zone.
Rick Perro, starting fullback for Denver, has a slight concussion. He'll probably not play in the second half. Preston on the sweep. Penalty markers down. Looks like it'll go against the Broncos. Bob Greger, the free safety, came up to make the tackle for San Diego. Greger was on injured reserve all of last year. His 4th-round draft choice in '80 out of Washington State. 13-12 to play in the 3rd quarter. Starting middle linebacker for San Diego, Cliff Thrift, injured an arm, bicep injury. He'll not play the rest of the second half. Chuck Muncie, the X-ray show, does indeed have a finger fracture. He'll not play in the second half.
Illegal block above the waist from the rear. Number 25 receiving team.
It might be interesting to note that the way Thrift got his job was because Don Horn injured himself before the season started in training, trying to carry his car around the block.
Yeah, that was some. Bob Horn trying to strengthen his legs was pulling his car with some kind of a harness. He moved the car, but one of the legs went. Now the penalty. It's 1st and 20 for Denver. 38-yard line up San Diego. Avon Moses in motion. There's going to be apparently intentional grounding.
It might be roughness.
Lyndon King took a full shot at Craig Morton. Morton hit one of his offensive tackles. Claudia Minor right in the back with the ball. He's not eligible.
Yeah, Craig's limping around back there. He hit pretty hard when he did hit. Looked to me like they could have called 2 penalties for grounding and for intentional roughness.
Coach Coryell can't believe all the things that are being heaped upon his team today.
Personal foul, rubbing the passer, number 57 defensive team. The pass was accidentally touched by an ineligible behind the line, offsetting penalties on the offense. Offsetting penalties.
I got to believe it was accidentally touched because it hit Claudia Minor right in the back.
13:08 to play in the third quarter. At the end of just the 4th week of play of this 81 season, it looks like there's only going to be 3, maybe only 2 unbeaten teams.
Offsetting penalties. We had the roughing the pass on the defense. The pass accidentally hit an ineligible lineman behind the line on the offense. That is an offsetting penalty.
Thank you very much.
Takes care of that.
Philadelphia Eagles. Boy, they're tough. So well prepared. Blew it away in the second half and beat Washington. They're 4-0 on the year. Miami Dolphins had a tight one at Baltimore, but held on to win. 31-28 in a late field goal. They go to 4-0. Dallas could go to 4-0. They beat the Giants. They're leading them now. Greg Morton swings it out. Ball is caught somehow. Wade Manning moving down the sideline, gobbling the ball, gets ahead inside the 35-yard line and down to the 32. Atlanta's unbeaten season ended today at Cleveland.
You know what Wade Manning is? He's a lot like Preston Pearson, the fellow that played at Dallas for so many years. He's an all-purpose type of running back. He can also play wide receiver. He's great on special teams, and he's just kind of a Johnny on the spot for him. And it was no accident he ended up in Denver. He started in Dallas.
That's right. As you check that Dallas waiver pretty closely.
Yeah, they got several fellas here.
Larry Canada comes in the game, carries the ball on 2nd down and 13 for Denver, gets it inside the 30. Bob Horn in at middle linebacker makes the stop for the Chargers. Leroy Jones at left end, Louis Kelcher at left tackle. Gary Big Hands Johnson is the right tackle, and Fred Dean, who walked out for a couple days this week, and a contract problem, is back and starting at right defensive end for San Diego.
Now, normally you'd say, okay, Denver's in pretty good field goal position. They can kick a field goal from 44 yards, which is definitely within the range of all field goal kickers in this game. But there's a pretty strong wind against them right now. They've got to pick up 6 or 7 more yards to really be in good field position.
Gusting wind sweeping out of the west. Morton stands in. He gets the time. He drills it, and once again, the short-handed Steve Watson comes down with the ball for Denver. He's caught 7 today, just as he caught 7 last week. So this week he has a lot more yardage.
Don't seem to get too excited about it either. You see, the whole key is how much time he's getting. Now, this is a blitz. Woodrow Lowe's trying to come in, but they've got him picked up with 2 offensive linemen. Nobody gets near Morton, and he allows Watson to take his time, run his pattern, and hits him.
Numbers are better in San Diego, all of the receivers. Canada and Tony Reed, the setbacks now for Denver. 1st down and 10 for the Broncos. 17-yard line of San Diego. Tony Reed turns the corner, puts a move on, gets to the 14-yard line. Lyndon King, one of the linebackers, was on the tackle for San Diego, along with the free safety Bob Greger. It's amazing the resurgence, John, in this Denver team. Broncos started to slump in recent seasons. Last year looked like they might be getting old at certain positions. Now Morton in his 17th year looks like a young man, and the defense is right where it used to be.
It's amazing how young you start to look when you start doing the right things offensively.
He's the guy who put it together in his first year. Dan Reeves, for the last 4 years, has been rumored as a head coaching candidate. Now 37 against the job. Here's a throw and a completion. Tough Tony Reed takes the ball down at the 6-yard line and holds on. Very close to a first down. Looks like he might have it.
He's got it.
Woodrow Lowe, who is a sticker, hits him, but he holds on.
All right, again, Tony Reed makes the play. Looks like a simple little pattern. But Morton gets an opportunity to come back here. Wait. Finally, Reed breaks through, free, and nothing but pitch and catch there.
Our producer today for NBC is Don McGuire. Our director, Jim Cross, as the game clock shows 9:38 to play in the third quarter. Denver challenging for 5th touchdown in this game, as the San Diego Chargers, coming in unbeaten, scoring 38 points a game on the average, have been blank so far. And Craig Morton is having perhaps his greatest numbers day. 14 of 15 throws, 4 touchdown passes. We'll be back right after this. That's the Denver chicken doing his number here today. He just stamped all over a San Diego pennant. Stuffed it in his mouth. San Diego's been getting stuffed on offense today, and right now the Denver Broncos are challenging for yet another touchdown. They have the first down inside the 6-yard line of the Chargers. Preston working hard at it, gets down to the 2. It'll be 2nd and goal from there. Preston, he's not big, but he'll run in the middle. 5'10", 195, takes it ahead down to the 2-yard line.
Well, they haven't run the ball excitingly, but they've run it very effectively throughout the ball game. They picked up 4, 5, 6 ever since the first 2 drives. When San Diego stuffed them at the line of scrimmage, forced them into throwing the ball. It was the biggest break they could get.
3 tight ends in the game. Preston gets the ball again, dips inside, and he goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
This group.
They love all of it. This town was high in anticipation of this game. They were ready for San Diego, not only the team, but also the fans.
Okay, that's just excellent running. Certain guys have the ability to find the goal line when they're inside that 5 or 6, and Dave Preston is one of them.
On the way and good. So the extra point is good again, and we have a most unlikely score on the board here in Denver. The Broncos 35, the San Diego Chargers nothing. Next Sunday, join host Bryant Gumbel for NFL 81. All the highlights, the scores, the late-breaking news from all the games. Then a doubleheader of NFL action here on NBC, featuring an AFC Eastern battle. Burt Jones leads the high-powered offense of Baltimore against the defense of the Buffalo Bills. Cleveland Browns, who upset Atlanta today, travel to Los Angeles to meet the Rams. Check your local listings for the games in your area next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time on NFL 81. Here's the kickoff. Here come the San Diego Chargers, ripping it out, getting ahead for some fairly good yardage on the play for San Diego is Andre Thompson. Just acquired from Green Bay. One of the people, the only person that's come in so far, a lot more draft choices, Will. John Jefferson.
Well, Andre Thompson doesn't have any 36-yard play or point play he can call on. And right now, I think you may see some wholesale changes, even with 25 minutes left to go in the ball game.
Fouts, his team down 35-0, throws a strike. His tight end, Kellen Winslow, gets the ball out across the 30. Get ahead for 8 yards. Denver defense laying way back now. They know the long plays have to come. And San Diego's even going to get close to getting in this game.
Well, what happened is Denver's offense took the ball game away, forced San Diego to do the things that Denver wanted San Diego to do. Allow their linebackers to take deep drops, pursue after the ball is thrown, keep Fouts from being able to throw the ball down the field effectively, and I think the stats with Winslow and Joyner state that pretty easily.
It's now 2nd down and 3. Dan Fouts takes a look. Got a man open, Kellen Winslow. He's ahead and out to midfield at the 49. There is a possibility part of our network will be switched to the Kansas City-Seattle game. Right now in Denver, Colorado, there's 7:45 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Denver surely is number 1 today. That's been the story. The Chargers have been down, but they came into this game unbeaten. They go to 3-1, as will Denver.
And I think Craig Morton's seen enough for the day. He's 14 out of 15 for about 250 and 4 TDs. I think you'll see DeBerg when they get the ball back.
Tough to improve on that. So DeBerg will get his shot. They got another good quarterback here, a rookie from Purdue, Mark Herman. Now, Eric Sievers, the rookie tight end from Maryland, catches the ball for San Diego. The first down play, he got about 9. Usyk and Swinson were on the tackle.
Okay, let's take a look at Denver's defense. Those linebackers, 53, 58. They're dropping deep. They're letting anybody come in underneath. Let a back come in underneath. We can catch him, give him 5 or 6 yards. You see 7 people back there, 8 to 10 yards in depth. That's been the story.
Second down and less than a yard for the Chargers. Draw, James Brooks. Not big, but he works hard. He hits hard. He gets ahead to the 40-yard line. He's got a first down for San Diego.
Tackle by Chavis.
Mile altitude. Need the, I guess the oxygen here a little more in most places, John.
Yes, sir. That's Lyndon King, and he has been worked on just as all the linebackers for the Chargers.
Ron Smith goes wide right. Charlie Joyner's out to left. Here comes Smith in motion. Fouts takes a look. Lofts a long ball. Ron Smith is going for it. What a catch! Touchdown San Diego. What a great play. Chargers can hit you fast, and they just do. Looked like it was overthrown, and Smith somehow got the ball and goes into the end zone.
And he pulled a hamstring as he did score the touchdown. He extended himself about as far as it could be done.
Yeah, he did pull a hamstring.
Yeah, and came up with 6 points. But just take a look at how well the ball had to be thrown. This is Bill Thompson coming all the way across the field with Smith now one-on-one all the way down the field. This is what you call beating a defender. This is what you call great execution. Then gets back, sets up, puts the ball up in the air early. That's his fort. Doesn't throw it more than 40 yards in length. Throws it right where it has to be thrown.
I mentioned earlier, John, there is the tailwind coming out of that end of the field, and that caught Fouts' ball. Took it a little longer than he probably wanted it, but Smith, with his great speed, put on a burst, caught the ball, goes into the end zone, and then goes down with a hamstring pull. And Dan Fouts has a touchdown throw, but his team still trails 35-6 with 5:59 to play in the 3rd quarter. So the Chargers, highest scoring team in the league, are on the board right now. Now let's go to New York to NFL 81 and Bryant Gumbel. Bryant? Thank you, Byron Day. We're back here in Denver, Colorado with 5:59 to play in the 3rd quarter. San Diego just struck on the long throw and got the touchdown, their first of the day. Ron Smith walking off after he pulled a hamstring muscle going into the end zone. What a catch he made.
I say it was a hamstring, and it certainly appeared to be. He grabbed the back of his leg, and it seems to be something he pulled. But you can see how he has extended himself to about just as far as he could. One of the few great plays the Chargers have put forth today. In fact, the only one.
It was. It's your first real big gainer. Rolf Benershka now comes out on the field to try an extra point. He's usually out there most of the afternoon with all the scoring San Diego does. And Luther holds. Benershka puts up a good extra point. And now it is a 35-7 game. And when we come back, the San Diego Chargers will be kicking the ball off, something they've done precious little today. Didn't take the Chargers long to get their first touchdown of this day. 39-yard payoff to Ron Smith from Dan Fouts for the touchdown. Here's the kickoff by Benerska. Wade Manning won't bring it out. So Denver will go on offense, first and 10 from their 20. And we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KOA TV, Channel 4 in Denver.
Now in the game, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, 6'2", 205 pounds, fifth year from San Jose State. Recent seasons with the San Francisco 49ers.
And remember this, he started at Dallas. Where do you think Reeves saw him play? He played very well in San Francisco, and just happened that Joe Montana got to playing so well. Bill Walsh had to make a choice, and he decided to keep Montana. And Steve's up here.
Really got this thing going early when he threw that 34-yard completion on the one down he was in for Craig Morton. He was shaken up in the first quarter. And then a couple plays later, Morton threw for 19 yards in the game's first touchdown. Riley Odoms.
If you see the ball up in the air much more in this ball game from the Denver side, I'll be very surprised. It's not the Bird decision, you know. It is Reeves, but I just don't think it'll be put airbound.
Kansas City holding on over Seattle with a long way to go. We still could be sending some of our network to see that game. Right now, the Broncos go to the run. Here comes Preston turning the corner and getting out across the 25-yard line to the 28.
Larry Canada made a block on Duncan and absolutely buried him.
We were talking, John, about the day that Craig Morton's had 14 of 15 completions, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. His first pass he threw in the NFL, he was saying, was to Bob Hayes back in 1965 at the Cotton Bowl. Good for 65 yards and a touchdown. He said, I thought this game was easy.
And we're looking at Larry Canada right on Duncan, the safety. Gets him, I mean, he's just all over him. And Canada is a special situation type player whenever they're trying to run out the clock or run him with the ball.
Big. Berg swings a pass out now. Tony Reed takes the ball for the Broncos. Goes out of bounds. Came on a 3rd play. Lyndon King, the left linebacker, was over to knock him out. And Fouts. Numbers aren't bad. The 2 interceptions hurt. They're not typical Fouts days. He's throwing for over 300 yards regularly. Last year, passed for 4,700 yards, over 4,700, an all-time NFL record. And Fouts, of course, came into pro football in the year of some great young quarterbacks. 73, Burt Jones came in that year. Ron Jaworski, Joe Ferguson. Fouts as good as any of them. Recent years, he brought out the best.
Or better.
Fair catch made by James Brooks at the 37-yard line of the Chargers. There they'll go on offense, first and 10 with 5:01 to play in the 3rd quarter. 37-yard punt. So when we come back, the Chargers go back on offense, looking to strike long as they did the last time they had the ball. Thank you, Byron. Here we are back in Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Denver 35. The San Diego Chargers 7. San Diego with the ball, first down and 10. Fouts lets a long one go. Joyner goes for it, makes a diving attempt. The coverage was there by two-time All-Pro Louis Wright.
That's what he's got to do, though, Don. I know there's very, very little chance that he can really pull this ball game out. I mean, anybody else but Fouts had given it away a long time ago. But here you see, he finally gets Louis Wright one-on-one with Joyner. Now, Joyner could beat anybody one-on-one, but he doesn't beat Louis Wright very often. Makes a great play to try and pick up the reception, but can't get it.
Interesting day with these upsets. Central Division of the AFC finds all 4 teams, Cincinnati, Houston, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, now standing with 2-2 records. Fouts throws too much on it. Henry Winslow took a look at it and knew he couldn't get to the ball. Second down and 10 play from the 37-yard line.
Every play it's a different linebacker that fouls up the quarterback. That time was Bob Swenson. He had Kellen Winslow one-on-one with him down underneath. Swenson weighs about 240.
They missed him last year, had the fractured arm, was out the whole year. Swenson, 51. Number 1 draft choice now comes in. Dennis Smith, number 49. First round choice out of Southern California. They think he'll be a great one. Fouts gets it away, and he goes to to Charlie Joyner. It's a first down, San Diego. Fouts did well just to get rid of the ball, and they get the first down, the 3rd and 10 play.
I think sometimes Joyner has more luck against double coverage than he does single. That time it was Dennis Johnson watching underneath, which puts Louis Wright in the deep outside. When that happens, Joyner runs a simple little pattern on Smith, gets the ball, steps out of bounds for a first down. He will beat double coverage as much as any receiver I've ever seen.
17-yard gain on the play, and now the Chargers have the ball across midfield. Joyner comes out wide to the left. White scales now in the game. He comes wide left for San Diego. Fouts with the lone setback. James Brooks gets it away, throws a strike to Kellen Winslow, who's ahead inside the 35-yard line. He has another San Diego first down as the Chargers now start to rip it.
You can see how tough the yardage comes, Don. Now he's trying to go to Joyner and Winslow, even though they are double covered, even though it is tough. They've got to come up with the big plays for him. 2 linebackers playing him in and out, but he still picks up the first down. Look at this big fella. Now he takes care of Swenson, but not really. Swenson's on the outside. Just a good play.
First down and 10, San Diego. 35-yard line of Denver. Out stands in, a long ball. Joyner's out there going for the ball. There's too much on it. Out's throwing with a tailwind. Carried the ball as Charlie Joyner had the secondary beat. Running alone in the end zone. Very nearly another San Diego score.
They haven't stopped their policy. They've just been stuffing them play after play after play. And you get the top receivers, get them a couple balls, get their head up a little bit. That time he beat Aaron Kyle pretty badly. But a lot of wind. Fouts threw the ball a little hard.
John, you've known Dan Fouts long before he was even a high school quarterback, when he was a ball boy with the San Francisco 49ers.
That's right. You mentioned all these other great quarterbacks came out of school at the same time. He was a 3rd draft choice, and quite a surprise to some, but not to those of us who knew him.
The University of Oregon. Fouts throws in the flat, goes to Kellen Winslow. Well, they teach it in the tackling school. Aaron Kyle, not too big. Another ex-Cowboy comes up and knocks down the big guy, drives him back. 2nd and 10 play. They didn't get anything. It's going to be 3rd and 10 for San Diego.
Couldn't hold on to the ball.
Fouts 17 for 28, 198 yards now and 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Both picked off by the Denver free safety Steve Foley.
Yeah, you'd say, hey, those are pretty good stats, but in actuality, because of the personality of the San Diego offense, those aren't good. They feature what they're going to do down the field, and that's been taken away from them.
3rd down and 10 now, San Diego. Fouts stands in, throws the ball. Joyner goes high and can't get to it.
Okay, sometimes you get a look at a play even when it's ineffective. What Fouts has done for years and years and years with Joyner is he'll throw the ball into double coverage before the deep back can recover. Now watch. Here comes Charlie, just turns to the inside. This ball is already on its way. Throwing it inside on Kyle. Ball is thrown too high. Had it been on the mark, Foley would not have gotten there in time.
Ralph Benerska, who can hit it a long way, is going to try a 53-yard field goal. Ed Luther holds. Got that wind behind him. He's got plenty of distance, and he is right there. Ralph Benerska right through the bars, 53 yards away. And the Chargers have now scored their last 2 possessions. We're still in the 3rd quarter. It's a 35-10 game, Denver. Ralph Benerska ready to hit the Pete Rozelle NFL football as he kicks off now with the wind at his back, drives it into the end zone. Goes over the head of Wade Manning, out for a touchback, and the Broncos will go on offense, 1st and 10 at their 20. 3:36 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Chargers having scored their last 2 possessions, but it won't be long now, John. They'll be firing into the wind.
That's right. It makes it just a little bit tougher. We're going to take a look at the offensive line for Denver, because now is the time when obviously they're going to be very conservative in their play selection. It doesn't mean that they can be unaggressive.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. Don Criqui with John Brody, Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Broncos with the ball after leading 28-0 at the half. They're up now 35-10 in the 3rd quarter. Steve Watson catches another one. All day long. This time he turns out on Willie Buchanan. So you got 8 now.
Watson's just having so much fun, and DeBerg's loving an opportunity to play. He's only been in Denver for 3 or 4 weeks, and I imagine the thought of Reeves is, hey, we've got to get back and do the things we were doing early in the ball game effectively, and not stand around and try to protect a 25-point lead, because if there's one group that can catch us, it's the Chargers.
And next week, Denver is off to Oakland to play the Raiders. Watson has caught 8 for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns. Handoff goes to Preston. He's ahead across the 30 out to the 32-yard line.
First down.
Billy Buchanan coming over from the left corner to make the tackle for San Diego. On short yardage, they get the first down, and so 4 new downs for Denver Broncos.
Tackle by Buchanan.
79, Gary Big Hands Johnson, the #1 choice in 75 in San Diego. Loves to get the quarterback, says it's like going hunting.
Yeah, he's been might have brought his gun, but he didn't put any shells in it today.
Did last year, though. I think he led the AFC in sacks with over 17. 17 and a half he was credited with. Now it's 1st and 10, Denver Broncos. DeVerg throws. David Moses lets it sail on overhead. David Moses in his 13th year as a wide receiver for Denver. Played college football at San Diego State under the current San Diego Chargers coach Don Coryell. Dan Reeves, we were mentioning earlier, 37, is the youngest National Football League coach right now. Came in here after spending 8 years as a player and partially a player coach with Dallas. The last 3 seasons he was offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Last year they were the highest scoring team in football, 454 points, and scored 60 touchdowns. They've really started to score the last 2 weeks here at Denver under Reeves. 28 points last week, 35 already today in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 10 carry. Preston gets the ball to the 35. The scores on this 4th Sunday of play. Miami on a late field goal by Von Schoeman extends its record to 4-0, winning 31-28 at Baltimore. Minnesota, coming back from a 10-0 deficit, beats Green Bay. Kansas City holding to a 6-point lead over Seattle in the 4th quarter. Dallas leading the Giants 10-3. 2 unbeaten teams are in the books with 4-0 records. Dallas could be. There's San Francisco leading New Orleans. Shotgun formation for DeBerg on 3rd and 6. He throws. It's incomplete. So now the Chargers will get the ball back on a punt with 1:54 left to play in the 3rd quarter. They'll still have the wind at their back for that long a time.
Well, DeBerg had a little misconnection that time with Lytle. He had him one-on-one with King, and King made a fine defensive play. Never did allow him to get open.
Luke Prestridge. I've forgotten how to punt. Hasn't been out there much. James Brooks is back as a single safety for San Diego. Tremendous punt into the wind. Brooks lets it hit. Goes out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Great punt by Big Luke Prestridge of the Broncos. So the Chargers get back the ball. They've scored the last 2 times they've had it. Now let's switch back to New York to NFL 81 and Byron Day. Byron? Thank you, Byron. Here we are, John Brody, with that punt again by Prestridge.
Simple little 2-step punt, but into the wind, and the wind is blowing at about 15 miles an hour. 50-yard punt is no little thing.
Now Brooks breaks a gainer. Coming off tackle, he comes across the 15-yard line. Works his way out close to the 18. Got about 5 on the run. Behind Ed White and Russ Washington. Those 2 big veteran offensive linemen on the right side for San Diego. Washington in his 14th year out of Missouri. Came into the league in '68. Ed White in his 13th year out of Cal at Berkeley. Third quarter winds down to 1:15 to play in the quarter. Scales in motion. Bounce goes back to the run. James Brooks carries on 2nd down and about 6. He got ahead for maybe 3 yards. James Brooks is a working guy. Came in as a #1 draft choice in college. He played in the same backfield 1 year with William Andrews of Atlanta and Joe Cribbs of Buffalo. All of them down together at Auburn.
This is Kellen Winslow. When we say he's an all-purpose type tight end, he can block at 250 pounds. You see what he does to Dennis Smith. Ned White's out in front leading the block. They haven't given up. They haven't thrown the towel in. They have every reason to.
They have not done that and will not. Here Coryell keeps humming right through 4 quarters, regardless of the score. Here comes Fouts looking for some. He's got a man. Charlie Joyner gets open. He has a first down up to the 34-yard line. Joyner now getting open more than he was in the first half when he was held to 1 reception for 4 yards. Came in with a spectacular yard per reception average over 25.
He's just getting tougher and tougher, but he is going to his 2 top receivers right now, Winslow and Joyner. They sit down when things are going poorly for them. They sit down and try to figure something that will work out. They've come up with a few solutions. They've been a lot more effective this half than they were in the first.
First and 10 for San Diego. Third quarter clock down to 21 seconds. Chargers trail 35-10. Over the middle, there's a catch by Eric Sievers, the rookie tight end. Another big gainer for the San Diego Chargers. A 15-yard reception and run by Sievers out to the 48-yard line.
Boy, Fouts made a fine play that time because Rulon Jones was right in his face when he threw the ball. Had to come off his prime receivers. He can get the ball out of his hands as fast as any player I have ever seen from the time he decides to throw it to somebody.
At the end of the third quarter, the score is Denver 35, San Diego 10. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
They were kids together.
Thank you, Byron Day. We have 15 minutes to go in this game as we open the fourth quarter. Opposing coaches. Coryell to the right, looking for that whipping pass game of Dan Faust to keep connecting. They scored their last 2 possessions. Now they have the ball first and 10. They're 49 back to the run. Everybody swings right. Look at Brooks go the other way. He's got blockers. James Brooks. And he came up late pulling a hamstring. That is the bane of so many of these great sprinters. Their tremendous leg development. And the hamstring pops.
Well, I think the problem being, Don, is that he had a little hamstring before the game.
He did.
He got rid of it, and he felt he was in good enough shape to play. He had to really put a burst on to outrun the defensive linebacker, and in doing so, picked up a big gain, but he's probably lost 2 or 3 ball games. We mentioned these guys have not quit. Take a look. Here's Ed White, number 67 in your screen. There's a guard that can get out and lead a play. Now, he played for a long time in Minnesota, has been outstanding in San Diego. We see now Brooks pulls up lane.
Clarence Williams in the backfield. Fouts a deep drop, throws the ball out. Kellen Winslow has the ball, and blockers there. Look at these blockers of Kellen Winslow. A freight train of a runner at 250 pounds takes the ball inside the 15-yard line, down to the 12, and the Chargers are challenging again with a long time to go.
You'd say it wasn't enough time for anybody else, but we've mentioned it 15 or 20 times on the broadcast. San Diego just keeps coming at you. Now, for them to get back in this ball game with any realistic chance to win, most people would have you committed, but this game isn't over yet.
So we're going to play out the full 4 quarters. Muncie hasn't played at all in the second half. A great runner receiver for San Diego. Finger fracture. Here's Capoletti. Power back from Penn State takes it straight at the Denver defense inside the 10-yard line. A gain of about 5. Game clock down to 13:55. 35-10 is the score. A lot of smiles at halftime here in the press box. It's got a whole new regime here at Denver. Edgar Kutzer, the 38-year-old owner. Brady Alderman, the new general manager. Dan Reeves, the new 37-year-old head coach. Just like they like it today. And look out for San Diego. They can make things happen, and they have been their last 3 possessions. Swing pass. Capoletti gets some room to go. Look at the block. John Mason, the center.
Unloaded on Billy Thompson. He knows who to go after. That was a bad throw.
He'd have got into the end zone if it was a little lower.
I think in all the years I've watched Fouts throw those swing passes, I have not seen him miss 5.
They down now for the Chargers. 3rd down and almost 6 from the 7-yard line. Fouts has thrown 34 times. He's completed 20 for 245 yards. 3rd down. Fouts looks. He's got a man.
great individual play.
We'll be back to watch the Chargers go for the touchdown, but first to Byron Day in New York. Thank you, Byron. We're set to go now here in Denver. The Chargers coming back in the second half. First and goal from the 1-yard line. Penalty marker goes down. Penalty marker at the line of scrimmage.
I do think it's against Denver, however. They had somebody jump early. Looking at the offensive line, it looked pretty well set.
Clarence Williams was into the line. And it is a call against the Broncos, so they'll get a half-yard pickup, half the distance to the goal. And a new down, they'll get first down over. A lot of time to go, 13-17.
Offside, number 75 defense.
Rulon Jones left early. So now the Chargers will try to power the ball with Cappelletti and Clarence Williams the setbacks. That's Kellen Winslow in motion. Handoff, Cappelletti, touchdown San Diego.
All right, baby, the game is not quite over yet.
A little bit of life in that Chargers
When you
side.
have 13 minutes to go, remember, they've scored 17 points in less than 8 minutes, okay? 17 points would put them one back, and the momentum has shifted, and you can feel all the tension in Mile High Stadium. It's still there. It's quiet, but it's there.
This didn't have the folks in San Diego on the edge of their seats for most of the afternoon. It does now, though, as the Chargers have come alive, scoring quickly. Now Ralph Benerski looks to put up a 17th point for San Diego. He does. And with 13-14 left to play in the game, the San Diego Chargers with 17 second-half points now trail the Broncos 35-17. We'll be back after this. It was back at Denver. The San Diego Chargers are starting to get back in this thing with 17 points in the last 8 minutes, and John Brody looks like Morton's going to come back in.
Well, that's indication enough. That tells you how Reeves feels. I've seen a lot of teams come back from 17 down with 13 to go. I said at halftime I'd never seen anybody come back from a 28-0 deficit, but that isn't the case now.
Kickoff, there's going to be a penalty. Kick going out of bounds, so Benerski will now kick it off from his 30. Both starting backs are out for the rest of the day. Muncy has been in the entire second half with a fractured finger. Now James Brooks, the official diagnosis is a pulled hamstring. He'll not play again in this game.
You know what I said? I said I think Morton's coming back in the ball game. That was a mistake. It looks to me as if DeBerg's coming back. He was talking to Reeves on the sideline. Morton doesn't have his helmet in his hand, and I know he'd like to wear one if he was coming back on the field. So I'm assuming DeBerg is going to stay in there.
Morton started to warm up again. He's standing right with his coach. There he is with Dan Reeves, his old friend. Rookies together at Dallas in '65.
Those two guys were standing right down there, 18 points down to us in the championship game out of San Francisco about 8 years ago. 13 minutes later, they won.
Well, here's the kickoff. Preston will take it 15-yard line. Cuts back to the middle. Great open field tackle by the special. Oh! Do we have here? Has San Diego got the ball?
Very, very,
No, they do
very
not.
close. San Diego doesn't have it. They ruled the ball dead when his shoulder hit the ground.
Hank Bauer. He came down, made that open field tackle. Hank makes this club with his special teams play.
Hank Bauer's made a lot of open field tackles, and I noticed on the first kickoff to start the ball game, he forced the play, and he's forced every kickoff since. That's an excellent play on special teams. He could make this team if he didn't do anything else. You feel a little shift in Old Mo?
Old Mo has definitely shifted here in the Mile High City. A long way to go, 12:58 to play. DeBerg still working at quarterback. First down and 10 for the Broncos. To the run. Handoff. Next to Preston. It's up to the 25. Great ball. San Diego has the ball. You might be witness to one of the all-time comeback, sports fans. Do not go away yet. So the Chargers get the ball back on a fumble recovery. We'll be back to watch them in action, but first to New York, to NFL 81 and Byron Day. All right, here we go at Mile High Stadium. The Rocky Mountain Thunder thunder has started up, and the foot stamping has started among the 76,000 that jam this stadium for every Bronco home game. Here is Fouts looking into the end zone, throwing short. Kellen Winslow catches the ball. He's down to the 15-yard line. He got 10. Might be just short of the first down. The big guy, 6'6", 250 pounds, reached up one hand and took it down.
I'll tell you what they did here is they sent Kellen out late. Fouts was again a little high with the ball, but Winslow, anything in his area, he seems to bring down. They've run a lot of delay patterns, trying to get the linebackers deep, throwing underneath them, and they've been very effective in the second half, throwing to their best two receivers.
They're working into the wind, but you'll remember that Denver scored its first 3 passing touchdowns at this end of the field. Now the Chargers, who've been scoring quickly. Fouts looks, end zone ball. White Sands, he's up. And now the penalty marker, it's going to go against the Denver Broncos.
Well, I don't know.
I think it is. Louis Wright's bringing protest up, but the officials are calling the play down to the goal line. And we have got something happening in Denver. 17 points scored by the Chargers in the last 8 minutes, and they're ready to go in again. Trailing in the game 35-17.
Number 20 defense. First down on the 1-yard line.
And Dwight Scales made an excellent play to get in a position to force Louis Wright to do something about it. He'd have come down with this ball had Louis Wright not interfered with him. A very close call. Wright, you know, plays that bump and run very well, but Scales gets underneath him to get position on the ball, forcing Wright to make the penalty.
The good times were rolling here in Denver earlier this day, but now there's cause for concern as Cappelletti takes it down to the goal line, but not in. Not in. And the game clock goes down to 12:02 to play.
This is when they sorely need a Chuck Munson. He is not healthy. We mentioned again James Brooks, also their other first-string back, is not available. Cappelletti, who does a yeoman's job in there, has got to carry the brunt of it.
Coryell has seen his team come flying back many times before. This would be the all-time Charger comeback. They were down in this game. They were out of it. Over the top. And again, the Denver defense holds. It'll be third down and goal from a yard away.
All right, we mentioned their offensive line had not given up, but they've got to create enough room to get them in the end zone on this play. Because every time they're stopped, it runs off seconds on the clock. 11:40 to go in the game. 17-point difference. They're down on the 1-yard line. Third down and 1.
If San Diego does score, they'd be down by 11 with a successful extra point. They need to score 2 touchdowns. Touchdown and a field goal wouldn't do it for them. Still be a point behind. Right now, though, the Chargers looking to get this touchdown. Third and goal, 1 yard away. Cappelletti the up there. Toss. And Winslow is up with one hand. His guys do it in a hurry as the Chargers come back and score again. A most remarkable comeback.
That guy made that play look like it was just an easy little catch, and I guarantee you there aren't 5 players in the National Football League would have touched the ball. Look at this. Now he's just kind of lollygagging out there. Fouts throws it a little high again. Winslow just puts up a mitt, brings it in. Thank you very much, and now they're within 12, trying to get to 11.
Well, there is a different ambiance to this 76,000 Denver fan crowd.
I'm going to bet you Morton's back in here in this series.
Extra point up and good. When the Chargers start to strike, they do it in a hurry, and now they've scored quickly 24 second half points. They're down by 11 with a long time to go. Morton warming it up after a great outing in the first half when he completed 14 of 15 for 250 yards, 4 touchdowns.
When it was 35-0, you had the feeling maybe he'd done enough for today, but right now you don't get that feeling.
Here comes Wade Manning with the ball for Denver. Boy, it hurts when you run in the middle of that wedge. Ray Preston was the first man down. Make the tackle for the Chargers. And now the offense comes out. Number 7 comes out. The 17-year veteran, Craig Morton.
Where's his white horse? You might need it.
They want to control the ball. They don't want San Diego to get it back. The Chargers have been in the end zone moments after they've gotten the ball. Last 4 times, they were down 35-0 in this game. Now the Chargers have come back. It's 35-24 and still 11:05 left to play. Morton takes a look. He's got a problem. Gets away. Oh, the man is open. Haven City for Denver.
Now, people have talked about Morton and his immobility. He created that completion because all his receivers were very well guarded, but check his footwork in the pocket. He doesn't move a lot, but he does move the right way. Look at this. He's moved around in this pocket, and as soon as he hits Haven Moses wide open on the sideline, you know Morton's love. That's right, he knows. Let's go.
That's something he does not want to be.
That was a mistake. He is hot, and whoever that back is, that went the wrong way.
He surely is. He was a great baseball player. They wanted him as a major league pitcher. Believe it or not, Dan Reeves, his coach, had a major league quality fastball, but he couldn't throw it in the strike zone. He still has a headline, John, of a game he pitched in South Carolina. The score read, Reeves pitches one hitter and wins 9-7. He walked 12 and hit 6 batters.
He's a little concerned right now.
And with reason. Second down and 9 now for Denver. Martin deep traffic. Leonis is open. 6:55. Came up to make the play. So did 71 Fred Dean.
And that's what, it was a fine play by Craig to keep from fumbling the ball, because when a defensive lineman hits you from behind, he's always going for the ball. Craig didn't see him. Doesn't look like he's too well either.
He's been down, hit hard a few times today.
I think you're going to find him back in the huddle.
Oh, we've got some wind blowing today.
No, you won't.
So Craig Morton comes off the field. Let's switch back to NFL 81 in New York and Byron Day. Byron? Set to go with a third down play coming up for Denver. Shotgun formation. DeBerg is in the game for Craig Morton. Berg looks, he throws, and Riley Odoms makes the reception for a first down for the Broncos. So Denver, when they have to control the ball, are able to do it here in the fourth quarter. 9:23 to play, and big Riley Odoms makes the reception for first down yardage down to the 23-yard line.
Boy, they've just changed the whole flow. DeBerg made a real big completion in the first half, and things went down low. Led them to their second touchdown. Now he stays right in the pocket, hits Odoms just as he makes his break. Perfect throw, first and 10 on the 23.
19-yard gain to big Riley Odoms. Tight end is as big as an offensive tackle. Pitch back, Preston, Canada blocks, and Preston turns upfield inside the 20. First down carry is good for about 4 for the Charger, or for the Broncos. Now they're inside San Diego's 20-yard line. Greg Morton shaken up so briefly, right back, ready to work. 8:57 to play, and importantly for Denver, and importantly for San Diego, the clock is running. Broncos want to run it down. They lead the game 35-24 after San Diego has scored 24 unanswered points here in the second half. Denver led this game 35-0. Second and 6. Morton stands and throws. There's Riley Odoms with the ball. And the big guy from Houston takes it down inside the 5-yard line and stays in bounds. Raising the cheer again in Denver.
Well, for a while we thought that horse was going to get shin splints running around the track now, but he hasn't had much to run about lately. And Riley Odoms just made 2 fine plays. That one, he took the ball on what looked like would put him down to about the 9-yard line, carried it down to inside the 5, and those are 5 important yards.
And the first down. So now Morton and the offense go almost point-blank range at the San Diego goal line. First and goal for the 4. Clock running. 7:53 to play. Handoff. Preston cuts inside. Problems. He goes down to the
Fumble.
San Diego says they've got the
They
ball.
do.
So do the striped shirts, and the Chargers have the ball back. And here comes the San Diego offense on the run out onto the field.
Yep.
7:46 to play. Isn't this something?
We'll take a look at Preston. This is something he very seldom does. If I was in a situation where I wanted a guy to maintain control of the ball, I'd give it to Dave because he is sure-handed. When you change direction, it often puts you in a bad position. Fred Dean stripped him of the ball, and one of the Chargers fell on him. But remember, Don, these guys are in a short time offense right now. They've got to score 2 touchdowns in 7 minutes and 46 seconds. They've got to hurry up, get back to the huddle. They've got to call plays to get them out of there quick and down the field.
Well, they had 3 touchdowns and a field goal in 10-minute span. 1 point. Here is Fouts setting him up. Scales left. Joyner right. From his end zone. And Fouts takes a look. There's the home run ball. And the closest guy to it was Perry Smith of the Denver Broncos. So, with 7:38 to play in the game, let's switch back to New York and Byron Day. Byron? All right, Byron, back at Mile High Stadium. The Rocky Mountain Thunder again cascading down from huge Mile High Stadium. The foot-stamping Thunder as it's 2nd down and 10 now for the Chargers. The 7-yard line. Fox into his end zone. He gets some time. He takes a look. He lets it go. Joyner's out there. And the ball might be intercepted, isn't it? Steve Foley has a 3rd interception. Foley comes up with the ball and nails out inside the 20-yard line. Penalty markers are down. Penalty markers are down in the secondary.
The most offensive player, Don, that I've seen all day is Bryson Manor when they get an interception.
But let's see.
I think they called a penalty for clipping on Manor on Ed White.
San Diego's defense is coming out.
Fouts knows he hasn't got a lot of time to get something going. They can't afford to take a long drive. They wouldn't get the ball back. He's coming down trying to get a big play out of Charlie Joyner. Why wouldn't you go down there? Foley's jumps in front of the play for his 3rd interception. Take a look. You see Thompson inside.
Above the waist from the rear, number 66 on the receiving team. First down.
It was Bryson Manor. Charlie Joyner can't interfere with the interception.
Steve Foley, what a day. 3 interceptions for the Broncos. And so after they lost the ball not that long ago when they drove down close to the San Diego goal line, the Broncos get it back on Foley's 3rd interception. Now they have the ball 1st and 10 at the San Diego 35-yard line. 7:24 left to play. Pitch back. Kennedy. Takes on block, takes on those tacklers, and gets down to the 30.
Mike Williams has had a tough go out there at the quarterback. Trying to take on Riley Odom, Larry Cannon. Dan Reeves showing a little concern.
Dan Reeves looking for his 3rd win as a head coach in the NFL. For so long he'd been rumored, young as he is, to be going to other teams. Speculation the New York Giants were going to hire him. Denver did, and apparently made a very wise move. This team is getting better and better. Right now the Broncos lead 35-24, 4th quarter, 7:18 to play in it. 2nd down and 6. To the run inside the 30 go the Broncos, down to about the 28. And bring up 3rd down and about 4.
For San Diego to keep any realistic chance of winning this ball game, Don, they have got to stop this drive.
Rob Lytle comes in, carries the ball, and now 3rd down comes up 3rd and 4 for Denver. Broncos huddling at their leisure, running that clock down to 6:45 to play. Chargers down 35-0 and scored 24 unanswered points in the 2nd half. Well, they still trail by 11. Shotgun. Morton calls timeout. Lyndon King jumped into a gap like he was coming out of blitz. So the clock is stopped with 6:36 left to play in the game, and Morton comes over for some counsel from his longtime friend and now coach Dan Reeves. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium after this. Today, Don Crickey with John Brody back at Mile High Stadium. That's the time remaining in the game. 6:36 to play. Denver a slight underdog coming into the game, leading San Diego 35-24. Broncos led at 1 point, 35-0. 21-0 in the 1st quarter. 28-0 at the half. Then the Chargers roared back. Now here's a throw and a completion and a 1st down. Whoop, free ball. That's a fumble.
Sure it is.
And the Chargers have the ball back. The ball is caught for a 1st down. And then fumbled.
This is the kind of break you don't see very often. They had 3 wide receivers on 2 defenders. And Moses was one of those that was covered. They had Egloff out there standing all by himself. It was a San Diego mix-up defensively. They got a real big break, which keeps them in the game. All right, Morton's going back. He's got 3 wide receivers on the right side. Egloff's on the right sideline. Look at him in your picture as the ball goes by. Nobody around. All right, Elkin picks it up.
Fans of both these teams are well aware this rivalry dates back to the old American Football League. This has been like one of those games, 90 passes from 1960 and 80 points.
Every working...
San Diego gets the ball back on a fumble recovery. And now the Chargers have the ball at their 15-yard line with 6:26 to play in the game. Trailing Denver 35-24. Takes a look, throws to Charlie Joyner. He's sandwiched at the 30-yard line.
Boy, he sure was. I think I'd stay out of Steve Foley's way. He reads that stuff about as well as anybody I've seen back there. And he lays the wood.
Foley's been one of Falc's leading receivers today. Got 3.
Might have got him for holding also. Well, motion.
Good for about 9 yards. That's 24 for 41 so far in the game for 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been intercepted 3 times, all 3 by the Denver free safety Foley. Morton is 16 of 17 for Denver for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns. No interceptions.
Almost perfect. The only ball he didn't complete was a little over the middle pass to David Moses, and he wasn't open. So he hit every open receiver all day long.
System down in the league office using with the computer. It's going to go right off the board, I think, for this week. Capoletti fighting for a first down yard on 3rd and 1. John Capoletti gets ahead for what's needed. And the clock continues to run with 5.5 minutes to go.
They've got to get moving, just like you see the crowd quiet. They're concerned. You know, they know San Diego's an explosive team. 2 touchdowns are not out of the question.
It's been well illustrated how explosive San Diego is, the way they rallied back here in the second half. Denver was ignited in the first quarter. They were on fire. And San Diego came back in here, running hard as Capoletti, and a first down carry. Capoletti might have lost the ball.
I don't think so. Denver thinks they've got it, but I think Capoletti got it back.
Quite sure they have the ball.
They do.
This thing is wild, isn't it? Crazy time here in Mile High City.
A lot of turnovers, Donnie.
And your top distance becoming with the ball turning back and forth.
It was surprising to me, Don, that Fouts ran the ball with Capoletti. They don't have Brooks or Muncie in the ball game. It's very uncharacteristic of them. The reason being, all 4 defensive backs were laying way back. They thought they could pick up 16 or 17 yards. All they got was a fumble.
1st and 10, and the Broncos go to the run, and Canada busts it through and almost takes it the distance. Pete Shaw submarined him. Frank Duncan also on the tackle as Canada. Straight slant run, got the big gainer down inside the 25-yard line. Very close to a first down. He's going to be just short of it. Lytle comes in with a play now, and the Broncos keep the clock running down to 4:35 and ticking. Very easily be 3 3-1 teams in the AFC West at day's end. Denver if they win, San Diego if they lose. Kansas City if they continue and beat Seattle. Here's Canada again. They call him the mailman around here. Doesn't get a lot of work, but he carries the mail when they need him. Big Larry Canada busts ahead for another big gainer and a first down for the Broncos.
Okay, good offensive line, Serge. They do use Canada whenever they're in a short yardage situation or ball control situation. You can see why.
Player down on the field, being a 10-2. So we have them on. Let's switch back to New York and to Byron Day. Byron?
Well, it's close, Don Crick. You were giving Byron Day a rest.
Studio 6. That was Brian Gumbo, as you know. And now the Denver Broncos on a first down carry go to the run and get more yards right up the middle, down the 11-yard line. And most importantly, from a Denver standpoint, John Brody, they run the clock down to 3:24.
Well, they've got the defense demoralized. They gave them a little lift, knew that San Diego had the feeling they had a chance. They got the ball back for their offense, and in the last 3 series, the offense hasn't been able to move it very well. This is when it's easiest to run for an offensive football team. 11 points down, 3 minutes left to play. Pretty tough to hold himself together.
Second down and 5 now at the 10-yard line. Rob Lytle straight ahead. The San Diego defense, he's down to the 6-yard line. And the clock keeps on ticking. 2:43 to play in the game as Morton leisurely convenes a huddle. Seen a lot of stuff in 17 years.
I think Dan Reeves is right. He is better than he's ever been.
That's what he says. He says his arm is better. He said when he first came up, John, he threw a real hard ball with the nose down. He was kind of hard to catch his ball. Third down and a yard now for Denver. Canada. Once again, the mailman delivers the mail. He's ahead for a first down for Denver, and the clock winds down to the 2-minute warning. And the Broncos close in on yet another touchdown. And it seems that San Diego is going to get back in it. Broncos come up with the turnovers, and now they're ready to close out this game. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium right after this. And with 2 minutes to go, we would like to welcome those viewers that have just joined us. The Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers football game is still in progress here in Mile High Stadium with the score Denver 35 and San Diego 24. So stay with us. Chips will be seen immediately following the conclusion of NBC football coverage over most of these stations, except for most Mountain and Pacific time zone stations, where it will be seen at its regular time. Coach Dan Reeves
With Jerry Fry down there, an ex-Oregon head coach, has been the offensive line coach for several years here. He's moved to Denver, loves it.
Let's watch the mailman, 35. He gets the ball, but does not get the end zone. Larry Canada goes down at the 3-yard line. And the clock winds down. 1:50 to play. The AFC West, considered by many to be as good a division as there is in football, could very well have 3 3-1 teams. The Oakland Raiders, defending champions of the National Football League, will be 2-2 after their defeat today at Detroit. They'll be at home next weekend. Will the Raiders to go against these Denver Broncos? Game you'll see in many of these same NBC stations. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KOA TV, Channel 4 in Denver.
Second down and goal for the Broncos. Rob Lytle, touchdown Broncos, and that will do it. Dan Reeves knows it.
And that's the sort of thing, you can see the sigh of relief on Dan's face. He knows they got caught in a momentum game, and what he will be able to point out as on Monday in the movies is 2 things. Number one, he can give Denver's defense something to work on, because they didn't have anything up until the last couple quarters when San Diego started moving the ball offensively. And number 2, how proud he is that these guys came back, never changed their game plan, and eventually just wore down the defense of San Diego.
The immortal words of Yogi Berra, "This one ain't over till it's over."
That seems relatively wise.
He's had a number of immortals. Steinfort kicks the the extra points, and Denver extends its lead to 42-24. We have had points. It's like a halftime basketball score. Now let's go back to NFL 81 in New York. Okay. Thank you, Brian. Didn't realize that the Oakland had not been shut out since '66. They won't be a very happy group when Denver goes there next week. 1:04 to play as the kickoff is returned. And San Diego goes on offense as Pete Shaw ran it back from the 37-yard line.
In defensive Oakland, you know, they only scored 7 against Denver also, but they're not the type team that is going to score a lot of points consistently every week. When they get things going, they'll strike at you. They throw the ball down the field, and they're subject to once in a while getting held to a low number of points, and they've had their quota for this year.
Dan Fats will come up pitching. Long ball. Joyner. Tip ball. And Denver defensive back. Boy, those linebackers in Denver get a deep drop.
We mentioned it all day long. The problem is when your back's up against the wall and you can't afford to throw underneath it because it doesn't do you any good.
We have a moment. Our thanks to our spotters, Ron Talpers and Al King, and our statistician, Ray Friedman, here in Denver. Our producer today for NBC, Don McGuire. Our director, Jim Cross. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Don Ohlmeyer. As we are now down to 59 seconds left to go in the game. San Diego's record to go to 3-1. Denver's will rise to 3-1. They've got a good thing going in the AFC West again. Here is the throw down the sideline. Charlie Joyner can't hold on. 53 seconds left to play, and now let's, while we have a moment, swing back to Bryant Gumbel at NFL 81 in New York. Bryant? Third down and 10 for San Diego. Outs again, dropping, again firing. This time a connection. Clarence Williams has the ball, and he is out of bounds at about the 49-yard line. John Brody, where do you think these two clubs are headed from here? We still have 12 weeks to go.
Well, I think the most surprising thing is how effective Denver's offense is. This isn't just a fluke. They come out firing the ball. I think their whole offense is very well structured. And on San Diego's side, they've got to do something defensively. I don't care how many good players you have. If you don't play coordinately, you can't be effective. And today, they were beaten 4 or 5 times because of miscommunications. They were run off the line of scrimmage on occasion, but that's not their problem. They've got good defensive linemen. They've got to get some coordination back there and hold some teams to under 20 points. It will be a long year if they don't.
Winslow watches it fly overhead. A whole new defensive system in San Diego this year. Of course, Jack Pardee, most recently coach of Washington, prior to that head coach of the Chicago Bears and twice NFL Coach of the Year, is now the defensive coordinator under Coryell at San Diego. And he has put new people in from a year ago, 4 new starters in the defense and a whole new system.
And he said, Don, early before the ball game, he said, look, the problem has been we've got 5 guys that are new playing defense. 2 of them are safeties. Then we've got a middle linebacker. And in the middle of our defense, we're not well coordinated. So it might be a few weeks.
Everything holds up as it has been. We'll have 3 teams tied for the lead in the AFC West. Fox has a problem, and Rulon Jones gets him. Rulon knocks all out. And sowing some largesse, he helps him up, and we're going to swing right back to New York now to Bryant Gumbel.
Okay, Don, since the baseball season's winding down, let's get you caught up on just what happened today, starting in the American League. Detroit, thanks to Dan Petrie's effort, a winner over Milwaukee 2-1. Cleveland beat Boston in 11, and New York beat Baltimore. Minnesota win over Texas. Kansas City won big over Seattle. Chicago beat Oakland in the first of 2. So here's what it means. Tigers now in front in the American East by a half game over the Brewers. Red Sox a game back. Orioles 2.5 back. And the Royals have taken over first in the American West, a half game over the A's. Don?
Okay, Brian, we're just about ready to run it out here in Denver, Colorado, as the Bronco fans are going to leave this big ball yard very happy. The Broncos extending their record to 3-1. Fouts throwing a long, incomplete pass, and now the clock down to 3 seconds to go.
You know what it looks like to me, Don, is as you watch Rulon Jones, he's had a great day on Billy Shields, who's become one of the top offensive tackles in the league. And that's really one of the big differences. How many teams would like to have one great defensive lineman? Now, Denver's been known for having fine defensive linemen. This guy looks to me like he may be the next great one.
6'6", 260 in the second year from Utah State. Rulon Jones. Final play of the game. It's a fire and a catch by Dwight Scales. Breathing, and the will run out the clock, and that will do it. And they rise in salute to the Denver Broncos here in the Mile High City. Dan Reeves and his Broncos and the lady on the white horse with something to smile about as the Broncos move into co-leadership with the San Diego Chargers and quite possibly Kansas City at day's end if the Chiefs hold on and win that game. 42-24, the final numbers.
Don, I think we've reflected on everything there is to say in the ball game. Denver is just very impressive.
For John Brody, this is Don Crickey. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium.
When we
Go back to our NFL 81 studios in New York. I'm Brian.